Good morning, family. Good morning, fellow parliamentarians, and good morning to members of the media. Today, I'm pleased to announce two more incredible candidates in two important constituencies in the upcoming general election. Mr. Joshe Adams in constituency number 19, and Senator Ianthea Simmons-Wade in constituency number 25, Ward Northeast. This election is about leadership and which leader and team are best equipped to see Bermuda through these difficult times. We ably managed Bermuda through the worst of the health crisis, making sure that we expanded financial support to see Bermudians through these challenging times. Bermudians all know the economic record of our opponents. During their tenure in office, 2,000 jobs were lost and Bermuda's national debt doubled. They saddled our country with a bad airport deal that is likely to result in tens of millions of dollars shipped overseas this year, and let us not forget about the bad Morgan's Point deal. Conversely, before the pandemic, the Progressive Labor Party government created over 700 new jobs here in Bermuda. And though the opposition likes to malign our efforts in diversifying the economy, over that time, the fintech sector created 60 new jobs in Bermuda. During the pandemic, we took swift action to expand financial support for individuals and businesses and ensured that persons could access funds from their pensions to make sure that they were able to continue. In the recovery, we reopened our tourism sector. We worked with companies to re-domicile and relocate workers. We quickly instituted the Work from Bermuda program, which has already received hundreds of applications to allow remote workers to come here and spend money in our economy. And, as announced by the Minister of Finance yesterday, we're moving up capital projects to get our people back to work. Over the coming weeks, we will continue to outline our vision for the recovery of our economy. But I want to remind Bermudians that as we enter the season, when politicians will make promise after promise, to remember what Forbes magazine reported, and I quote, "Past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior, and the same is true of success." Bermuda, you have seen our record, and you have seen what the One Bermuda Alliance did when they were in government. I invite you to compare them and to decide. Do you want the PLP team leading our recovery, or would you prefer Craig Cannoneer to see us through these difficult times? That is the fundamental question of this election. Joshe Adams is our candidate in constituency 19, Pembroke West, and I am confident that he can win his seat. He is an experienced banker and currently serves as an advisor in the Ministry of Finance. He manages real estate and has also started a small business in information technology. The PLP will continue to bring new candidates into the political arena to contest seats in this upcoming general election. And as we push forward with the economic recovery, which is so important for Bermuda, I am confident that Mr. Joshe Adams will be an important part of that economic team that will ensure the Progressive Labor Party continues to build on the successes and sees Bermuda through these difficult times. I now introduce you the candidate for constituency number 19, Mr. Joshe Adams.
Good morning to our Premier and Party Leader, the Honorable E. David Burt, fellow candidates, family, friends, and members of the media. I'd like to begin my remarks this morning by saying that firstly, I'm a family man. I say that because there are two ladies in particular disappointed that they couldn't be here today, and they're my grandmothers, Mrs. Iona Brangman and Mrs. Nathalie Adderley. It's important for me to mention this at the very beginning because I want everyone to know that I recognize without them, there is no me. Those two ladies are the best examples of sacrifice, selflessness, patience, perseverance, that I take with me, and it is those very same characteristics that I will take with me as the Progressive Labour Party candidate and hopeful representative for constituency 19, Pembroke West. It was Dame Jennifer Smith who once asked, how can we, in a democracy, expect to create a better quality of life for all the people in Bermuda unless we actively participate in the democratic process? Therefore, after much deliberation, I've put my name forward. And it is a pleasure, as the grandson of Mrs. Brangman and Mrs. Adderley, to be introduced as the PLP candidate for constituency 19. My grandfather represented the constituency for 7 years in the House of Assembly, and so I know many of the constituents well. As a young boy, I canvassed with him in the area, and it's a unique experience because I get to see life come full circle, because this time you can rest assured he'll be out canvassing with me. I know many of the concerns of the constituents well because as a young boy I heard them myself. And you can imagine how saddened I am to recognize that many of those same concerns are still present today, like the improvement of the access to Deep Bay Beach, as well as the restoring and making better use of Admiralty House Ballroom. But as a breath of fresh air, I say to the residents, I will devote my time and my energy to improve the life in the community. The second thing I'd like to say this morning is that I have family and friends that are members and supporters of both parties. I've come quite familiar with the political banter, but for me, when I compared the leadership of both parties, the choice was simple. As I sit here next to the Premier, I'd be the first to admit that our government has not been perfect. But I'm proud of the progress that we've made and the direction that we're headed. I look at how other countries have struggled and continue to struggle with the health crisis brought on by COVID-19. And as I reflect, I become appreciative of how blessed we truly are. But tough times don't last. Tough people do. And so whilst the world is suffering economically, I'm confident that our country's leadership will remain adaptable, innovative, and dare I say progressive enough to successfully lead us through the economic crisis just as they have through the health crisis. And the third and final thing I'd like to say this morning is that anyone that knows me can tell you that I am a firm believer and have a strong passion to instill a sense of self-reliance. The quote says, "Up ye mighty people, accomplish what you will." So my career in banking and my years on the board of the BEDC have provided a platform for me to assist entrepreneurship in this country so that more of us can be self-reliant. The truth is, we don't need anyone or any group of people to do for us that which we cannot do for ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, my aim is to simply be a part of the process, to help foster a fairer and better Bermuda for us all, and to represent the constituency of 19 as best I can. I thank you all. I look forward to meeting the constituents on the doorstep, and I hope to have your vote come up to them first. Thank you.
Thank you, Deshae Adams, and it is a pleasure and honor to have you joining the Progressive Labour Party team as we look to fight this general election. Now I shall introduce our candidate for constituency number 25, Ward Northeast, Senator Ianthea Simmons-Wade. Senator Simmons-Wade spent her career in healthcare and in long-term care. She is one of our leaders in the Senate who is committed to improving quality and affordability in healthcare. She is also a passionate champion for our seniors. In the Senate, she served as Junior Minister of Health and also for the Cabinet Office, and she has chaired ably the Aging Well Committee, which is focused on ensuring that our seniors can age well and to implement policies that will help our seniors age well. Not only is she dedicated to building a healthy community where seniors can live long and healthy lives, but politics flows through her veins. Her great-grandfather, William Joel, was the first elected Black parliamentarian, and her late husband, L. Frederick Wade, is an icon who committed himself to building a better and fairer Bermuda for all. And because of the shades up in the room, you do not see his picture on the wall, but it is on the wall as a former leader of this party. I have worked with Senator Simmons-Wade over the past year, and I can speak to her deep commitment to this country, to our seniors, and how she throws herself into any task into which she has been assigned. I made the decision to appoint her to the Senate last year, and I have not been disappointed in any way, shape, or form. I've recently asked her to take on additional roles, and she has filled them very well and ably. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce her as the candidate for constituency number 25. She has been on the doorstep already, and I have no doubt that she will retain that seat for the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party. I now give you Senator Simmons-Wade.
Good morning, Premier, MPs, Senators, family, and friends. Thank you for your presence and your support on my rollout as the Progressive Labor Party candidate for constituency 25, Warwick Northeast. Bermuda, we fell asleep to one world and we woke up to another. Our lives have significantly changed and we struggle to deal with the new norm. Like the rest of the world, our small island's economy continues to be seriously impacted. During these months, the Progressive Labor Party was challenged to make decisions to balance public health and the impact on our economy. As a result of strong leadership, government's decisive action, and the compliance of the Bermudian people, our active cases of COVID-19 and deaths are extremely low, and our borders have reopened. Confronted with tough times, our government made tough decisions to do what it took to protect the people and to rebuild our economy. The pandemic is a reminder that there is such a thing as a community and that we are not just individuals. We will come together through this as we have a reserve of strength inside that emerges when life puts us to the test. COVID-19 is our greatest test. Some question, why now for an election? The Progressive Labor Party is seeking a mandate from the people to lead Bermuda onto a road of economic recovery and to rebuild our island. There will be tough times ahead and much sacrifice. Bermuda, we need a government of resilience. Our government has demonstrated the leadership, the vision, and the values with a track record of performance, achievement, and implementation. Mark Twain said, the two most important days in your life is the day that you were born and the day you find out why. Our stories begin well before we arrive on this earth. We are lucky if our stories extend beyond us. At a very young age, I knew my life story would be one of service. My career has spanned over 40 years in health, long-term care, and disability. It was my vision to improve the lives of people and to empower them, but instead, they have empowered me. My public service and volunteerism locally and internationally have spanned over 45 years. I have chaired and served on government, private, charitable committees and boards, most notably the Bermuda Hospital Board and the Sustainable Development Board. It was never about my role. It was always about the spiritual goal of service. My family has a very rich legacy, who for generations believed in community service. As the wife of the late Alfred Wade, my level of social consciousness grew significantly. Politics has been an integral part of my life for over 35 years. Community service has also been instilled in my triplets, Frederick, Ciola, and Kamala. As a single parent for 24 years, I understand the struggles of being the sole breadwinner and rising and educating children in this world today. It is an honor to be selected as the candidate for Constituency 25, Warwick Northeast. I have roots in the constituency, having lived there during my formative years from age 11 to age 23. Now I live just a few minutes away. It seems as if I never left. As a new senator, junior minister of health, cabinet, and now communications, it was truly a baptism by fire. As a woman and a pre-senior, I brought a wealth of knowledge and experience to the Senate. In the past months, I have taken significant legislation to the Senate as a result of the pandemic and supported other legislation for our government to continue to function. This experience, combined with working with such a talented Senate team, inspired me to run in this general election for the Progressive Labor Party. Bermuda, like most countries, is experiencing an aging population as well as a declining birth rate. Government statistics predict that seniors will raise to 24.9% by the end of 2026. As the chair of the Aging Well Committee, our mandate is to develop targeted policies working with government, the community, and the third sector. The committee will continue to drive forward policies to ensure that seniors are always front and center. Our government is committed to aging in all policies. The following about a few: the Parliamentary Election Amendment Act 2020, which enables seniors to vote in advance polls or in their homes if they are sick and shut in. The Charter of Rights and Responsibilities of the Elderly and Adults in Long-Term Care. We've expanded the home and seniors benefits under Future Care. We have instituted an interest-free loan for families who wish to modify their homes for senior relatives. The public service retirement age rose to 68 years of age. Health is our most valuable possession. The Ministry of Health is the caretaker of the island's healthcare system. As a result of the pandemic, the ministry is reviewing the public health plan to ensure it will provide access to timely, acceptable, and affordable health care of appropriate quality to all Bermudians. The PLP government has a track record of performance and delivery. Premier David Burt leads the government with tomorrow as well as today in mind, and has developed a culture of leadership within the Progressive Labor Party. In closing, to the constituents of 25 Warwick Northeast, your vote should be based not just on me as your candidate, but as importantly, on which party you believe that has the proven leadership and that is prepared to accept the responsibilities for our island's futures. Remember, the power of the politicians is in the people. I promise to listen, I promise to work tirelessly, and I promise to represent all of you in the House of Assembly if elected as your MP and Member of Parliament. This is my pledge to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Simmons-Wade. And I know that I speak for many that your presence on this team makes this team even stronger. And I am grateful for the work and the support of which you have given the Progressive Labor Party team over the past year. Now, this is a political press conference, and I know that with the announcement of Senator Simmons-Wade in constituency number 25, there is going to be intense speculation about what happened with the incumbent MP in constituency number 25, our Minister of Finance, Curtis Dickinson. To save the speculation, I can confirm that the branch executive of constituency number 21 has met with MP Dickinson, and he will be moving to constituency 21 to contest that seat for the Progressive Labor Party in the upcoming general election with the full support of the sitting Member of Parliament, Rolf Commission. We have a strong team in constituency number 21, Pembroke Southeast. And while Minister Dickinson and the C21 team, we focus on communicating with the voters in that seat, he will also have time to focus on executing the economic recovery plan aimed at creating jobs and opportunity that he outlined yesterday. It is true that some politics is tactical, and there has been a boundary change in C25. And so it is in this vision that in this consideration, that some of these changes have been made. We will be rolling out Curtis with all the sitting MPs who will be running for re-election next week. With that, I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Yes, I took away one of your questions.
Well, that was part of it, but just to tag on with that, because Mr. Dickinson flipped that seat that Jeff Barron had held for the OBA, and do you feel like Ms. Wade Smith is a stronger candidate to hold on to that?
Senator Simmons-Wade, I know.
Simmons-Wade.
And I will just say this, and it comes as no surprise. Balancing the responsibilities of intense cabinet roles and the work while canvassing on the doorstep is a very difficult balance. The Minister of Finance this morning is engaged in meetings and negotiations in regards to the Fairmont Southampton project. Clearly with the debt raise, matters continuing with the Economic Advisory Council, et cetera, those are important matters to focus on. There was a boundary change in constituency number 25, and there were a large number of new voters. I know that Senator Anthony Simmons-Wade, though she is working intensely with me on matters facing communications, she will have more flexibility and more opportunity to canvass the voters in that area to ensure to meet the new voters so that we can have the opportunity to retain that seat. And I'm confident. She was out on the doorstep yesterday. I know that she's met with the branch and the team, and Senator Simmons-Wade is an amazing personality that I know will endear herself to the voters in that constituency very quickly, and is someone who I have seen who has worked incredibly hard at any task that she's been assigned.
Thank you. My second question is the Marina Tourism Authority this morning posted the results of second quarter air travel and tourism to Bermuda. It was no surprise that with the airport being closed,
there were very few.
well, normally it said we normally get $98 million during the quarter, and we only got $70,000 for that. How do you feel going forward? This shows the importance of the hospitality industry and the airport and the functions that it has.
It absolutely shows the importance, but I think it's also important to recognize that the government worked to ensure that we could reopen our tourism industry. And so when you look at the new the hotels that have reopened in the past week, both Grotto Bay and the Hamilton Princess Hotel, the hotels that remain open, and the hotels that open after we reopened the airport successfully July 1st. Remember, there were some who said that we could not do it. There were some who said that it is not going to work. But we charted our own course. No plan was laid out. We met with the advisors. We devised a plan that would work, that we could support, that would enable us to reopen our tourist economy safely and to ensure that people could get back to work. So yes, during the pandemic, when there were a lot of planes not flying, certainly the second quarter tourism numbers are not going to be anything that are good. But what I can say is that the third quarter tourism numbers are going to be far better than many expected, because there were some who said that we would not have a tourist season at all. If you listen to the debates from the House of Assembly, the opposition was saying that we would not have a tourism sector and we need to plan, and what is it that we're going to do for the entire time out until next year because planes won't be coming, etc. We planned, we executed. That has been the record of this government, and that is what we'll continue to do. So I'm going to focus on the positives and the great Bermudians who have been able to get back to work because of the efforts and energy that has been led by this government, but has been supported by all the teams in health and all the other places to make sure that our economy can reopen and our tourism industry. So I have great expectations on what our tourism industry will look like going forward, and I know that we're in a better space because of the work in which we've been able to do despite the naysayers.
Thank you. I normally limit myself to 2 questions, but just to follow on that just a little bit, what's the latest on any cruise ships possibly arriving for the end of the year?
As the Minister of Finance laid out in his press conference yesterday, when he spoke specifically about the fiscal plan for economic recovery and the reason for bringing up capital projects that were slated to take place next year, bringing them up to take place this year to provide more support for the economy and opportunities for people to engage in work. The expectation is that we will not be accepting cruise ships until April 2021. We want the tourism authority to be focused on getting visitors to the island. One of the things that's important to note that, of course, the winter season is the slow season in Bermuda, but we believe that we will have an opportunity due to the work of which we've done with our test regime and the fact that we've been able to keep the country safe. One of the only 4 countries in the world with a level 2 rating with, I think it's the US CDC. I think that we stand in a good place to attract more tourists through that typically low season. So from our perspective, what we're going to do is focus on the air arrivals, focus on hotels and beds, and then we're not going to try to put energies for the cruise season, and we're targeting return for that, hopefully, no earlier than next year, April.
All right, thank you very much.
No problem with that. Answer your questions.
Good morning, Premier.
How are you, Jasmine?
I'm well, thanks.
And congratulations on your scholarship.
Thank you, thank you. You're the leader of a labor party, labor organization, and currently the police have not agreed with the government's austerity measures, neither have the fire services and police. What would you have to say to voters who may be a bit confused by that dichotomy?
I'm not entirely certain about the dichotomy. It's a difficult negotiation at any point in time when you were dealing with certain associations. The Minister of Finance addressed this yesterday. The Minister of National Security continues to work through that. I know there'll be persons that will say the dichotomy, but what I'll say is the vast majority of workers, whether it's BIU, BPSU, Bermuda Union of Teachers, who are very large labor unions, have agreed and come to the side of the government because they recognize that we must constrain our spending in order to provide support in the economy as we are a one collective country. So we will continue to work through these issues. They are difficult, but governance is difficult. It's not easy, but we believe that we are certainly up to the task and we are going to continue to seek to reach an amicable solution in that regard.
Have you made any progress with negotiations with the Bermuda Police Service?
I believe there is progress that is being made. I'm not going to negotiate in the media, certainly, but I know that there were emails back and forth last night, and we are trying to move ourselves to place of resolution, absolutely.
Sure. And just lastly, the Shadow Minister, again, has spoken out against police budget cuts. He's concerned that that may have an adverse impact on managing safety in the community. What are your thoughts on that?
What I would say is that the difference in approach that the Progressive Labour Party government has taken to what the One Bermuda Alliance may take is that we believe that the best way to fight and deter crime is to make sure you provide economic opportunity and tackle the root causes. That's what we laid out in our election manifesto in 2017. That's why there's been significant investment in our gang violence reduction efforts, whether it's redemption farms, whether it's expansion of the GREAT program, whether it's making sure that additional educational opportunities are being given. Any Bermudian can attend Bermuda College for free. Any Bermudian can get updated skills and certification courses. That is the correct approach to take. So we have redirected money from the police budget to training and education and investment. And we believe that it is the correct way for the long-term view and vision of the economy. So it just signifies a difference. We recognize that we can do the job and we will provide the resources which are necessary to do the job. But we're not going to get into a false, I would say, debate over whether or not we should have an old school strategy which is focused on enforcement and not focused on tackling challenges at the root cause. That is where the government is focused, and that is where we'll continue to put our focus, and the work which is being done by the gang violence reduction team and other teams that are working, whether it's in education, workforce development. You'll hear a major announcement from the Minister of Labor later today on continuing on our economic recovery plans insofar as our job plans. That's where the focus needs to be, and not necessarily putting that focus and investment on curtailing crime after it happens. We want to prevent crime by making sure that people have opportunity.
Thanks. Are you sad to see Mr. Commission go in constituency 21?
I would say that Rolf made a decision to step away, to not be a distraction inside this process. The interactions in which I've had with Rolf Commission over the past 8 years since we both served in the House Assembly have been great. I think that Rolf has a lot to give, and I'm sure that he will continue to support the party in its efforts.
Thank you.
switch words, or do you have anything? Or,
Thank you.
Mr. Adams?
Good morning.
Good morning.
You stressed that you're a family man.
Absolutely.
And how do you feel family values help make Bermuda stronger?
How do I, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
How do you feel like having strong family values makes Bermuda a better country?
Because I believe that family is the core function, right? So it is in many cases, a small microcosm of the community. So a strong family then produces a strong neighborhood, which then produces a strong community and a strong island. So I believe that everything begins and starts with the family.
Last general election, the labor minister ran in that seat and lost by about 140 votes. What do you think you can do to change 70-odd people's mind to flip that seat?
I believe that in this current time, I believe that a lot of the people in constituency 19 are moving away from a party politics or voting for party mentality. And I believe that if I put myself forward with the other candidate, they will sit there and reflect on the two options that they have, despite what party they're for, and decide and make a decision on who's the best representative for them.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Adams. Did you mention you're a realtor?
I manage properties.
Okay, so I guess my question is, for the average Bermudian who's struggling, some people are having to abandon their mortgages. What would you propose be done to help those Bermudians who are struggling right now to keep their homes?
For those managing to struggle to keep their homes, I believe that the government has policies in place. And certainly I can say that it's within the government's pipeline to put policies in place to help those in concern and in need. So the reason I'm saying this is there is things in the work. We recognize that people are suffering and people are going through challenges, and it's a difficult space because things aren't happening today doesn't mean that things aren't in the pipeline, that we don't hear their concerns and are pushing an agenda forward to help them.
Sure. And what do you see as the main issues in your constituency?
The main in my constituency, as I said in my speech, I've certainly done the rounds in the community, and I certainly believe that, or one of the things that I constantly hear from a national level is the concerns over the debt and the government deficit. But from a community perspective, I hear a lot of ideas and perspectives on what they want to do with it be Spanish Point Boat Club, and mainly the maintaining and restoration of the Admiralty House ballroom.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Adams.
Good morning.
Stuart McFortune from the Royal Gazette. We heard one of the OBE candidates yesterday, Catherine Kemp, talk about what she believed were derogatory comments made against women by some of the male members of the House of Assembly. Given that you started your remarks today talking about you being a family man and recognising your grandmothers, can you give assurances to any potential constituents and the wider community that you would help to stamp out any alleged culture of toxic masculinity?
Absolutely. In fact, I appreciate the question because I recognize that a lot of the narrative that comes around is in reference to masculinity within the party. And I'd like to dispel that, because one of the things that I am proud of as a member of the Progressive Labour Party is the way that we speak, treat, and involve our women. I'll remind you that our chair, deputy chair, and secretary general are all females. I'll also remind you that two of the main icons that we revere within these very halls are Dame Jennifer Smith and Dame Lois Brown Evans. So we as a party will always and continue to best represent females to the best of our ability.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning. With your work with seniors, what do you feel is like their number one concern that needs to be addressed over the next 1 to 5 years?
There are a number of concerns. I guess I can't say number one, but I think issues of health, safety, security, and being recognized as still having something to contribute to this country.
As you mentioned, nearly 25% of our population will be seniors a few years down the road. What concerns do you have, or the seniors in general have, with not paying pensions and social insurance this year is going to have on the overall health of the funds?
This has been expressed by a number of people, especially those moving towards retirement. But I think many people realize there have to be sacrifices to be made. In order for the government to continue to function, this enables government to have additional funds in their purses. So even though it's difficult, I think many people do understand that there are sacrifices and are prepared to make them.
Just to follow that up, do you think this is something that can continue for 2 or 3 years?
It's going to be based on what needs to happen. Right now, we're at year 1. And until we determine where we are moving forward, a decision will have to be made, but whether it will be 2 or 3, I can't say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Senator Simmons-Wade. Having seen and been involved in politics from a number of different angles, I just wondered if you were voted in, what you might look forward to being a part of the House of Assembly, and if there are any concerns.
I can't.
I'm sorry. I said if you were voted in, if you were elected, what would you look forward to being as part of your experience of the House of Assembly, and are there any concerns about becoming an MP?
I have no concerns whatsoever with becoming an MP. What do I look forward to? The opportunity to actually represent a constituency. I have said many times, being the phone operator for my husband, and knowing that you get calls all through the day, all through the night, and to be able to help and assist people at any level is something that I'm looking forward to.
Thank you very much.
You answered my question already. Thank you.
All right, with that, I invite members of the media to certainly tune in to future press conferences from the party. We'll be back here again with you tomorrow. And thank you for your attendance today. And again, finally, congratulations to our new candidates.